All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is finally time. Hello and welcome here to the Division 2 Championship as we are just about set to kick off our short qualifying session here. It is the Belgian Grand Prix for the ISRL Division 2 Championship, and I am excited to finally get things kicked off. Hello and welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining in on this very chaotic Sunday here for ISRL Esports, dealing with a little bit of audible calls here due to the real life Belgian Grand Prix having a couple issues of their own, most notably the very wet track that they had there in the real life Belgian Grand Prix, but here in the land of the Division 2 Championship, at least for short qualifying, it appears to be sunny skies, dry conditions, exactly what the drivers were hoping for. I'm excited to kick things off here with our short qualifying session for 18 minutes and counting of non-stop qualifying action. Hello everybody, once again, thank you so much for joining in here as the drivers are just getting set to kick off this short qualifying session. Haven't missed anything just yet. The timer has just ticked down and it appears as if we are having the first drivers hitting the track. Now you'll notice here we've got a little bit of a shortened grid here for round 3 of the Division 2 Championship. Not ideal, but we will be making things work here today regardless of the grid size, as already we are down one runner in this short qualifying session. Welsh Maldonado starting from the back of the grid here down in P14, not running a lap here, but it's going to be Jay Wills 40 who is going to be leading the charge for now on the out lap, as it appears as if we've got the Ferraris of Krishna and Nole battling for position a little bit farther behind. It looks like, at least for now, they've got this sorted out. But I'm excited here. It is Spa. It is going to be a very exciting session of racing action, regardless of the amount of drivers on the grid. It always brings out the best of the drivers. It always brings out the best races here. I find always one of the most exciting races here on the calendar, and that's without taking into account a little bit of what we saw today in the real life Belgian Grand Prix. But of course, here in the land of F1 2021, the weather can definitely play a factor here. Just because it's sunny here in this session doesn't mean it's going to be sunny in the race, and doesn't mean the weather won't take a turn for the worse. Of course, drivers probably not hoping for that per se, but it is always something to keep in the back pocket here as we continue with the session. But of course, especially here in qualifying, you can see this Belgian Grand Prix, it's a long lap, one of the longest here on the F1 calendar, and as we'll ride on board with the Ferrari of Nole as he comes across the line, will take us through this long lap of qualifying here of this circuit here in Spa, coming through La Source turn 1. A nice line there here to take, but you gotta set yourself up on the exit to run through one of the most exciting sections of the track, up Eau Rouge and through Radion down towards the Camel Straight here. Top speeds of nearly 200 miles an hour, 300 kilometers an hour, and counting as you head towards the hard braking zone here of the next corner, approaching Sector 2. Ooh, no! And just like that, already seeing a bit of a moment here from Nole. A bit of a half spin there as he gets out of the way. Let's switch over to Krishna quickly as he's still got a good lap going. And, oh no, Nole trying to get out of the way, trying to get back on track, gets disqualified. Krishna, though, meanwhile, on his flying lap, coming down the ever so tricky downhill right-hander, heading down the hill towards Pouan. Watch out for the inside curb there, very easy to lose the car. The outside curb, not as bad, just an invalidation, a warning if you go a little bit too wide. So really got to keep it within track limits. Through the end of Sector 2 just about here, a very tricky section of left-right handers. before heading down towards Blanchiment, the final section of the track. Heading towards the end here, up the handle of that little mini Uzi of a track map here, as I like to refer it as, through into the Blanchiment now, officially heading towards the final chicane, the bus stop chicane, very named so, down into second here from 8th. Around the final chicane, quickly on the power, don't lose the back end. Krishna setting a 1:42.9 as the benchmark time here in short qualifying. Jay Wills right behind with a 1:43.1, and we've got Michael Fierez coming through that downhill section of the track leading in towards Puan Corner, and we've got Dark and Potgetter, who are out of qualifying as well. They've also got no time on the board. So here, with less than 13 minutes to go, we're already down to 10 drivers remaining. Oh no, and Michael Fear is not having a good time here. I had mentioned how difficult this corner section is, and Michael Fear is experiencing that firsthand as he is also out of this session. Unfortunate here, as we've got another driver who is currently out. Down to 9 runners here in qualifying is now Cohen in the Red Bull coming around the bus stop chicane. About to cross the line here. He goes fastest, a 1:41.678, less than a tenth of a second faster than Knight in the Alpine, who set a 1:41.724. Was good enough for provisional pole, but knocked down to P2 as here in his second time around on that same set of tires through Sector 1, knocking about 1/1000th off of his time. So we'll see how that is going to translate for him. Du Will, who's riding a solid result last week in both the Division 2 championship as well as the race around Mexico in Division 1, looking to capitalize on that momentum, ride it here this week, but with an invalidation on what looks to be the medium tires that he chose to run on. That is not going to help his case. Once again, will not have a time on the board here as he's heading around the track up towards Blanchiment in Sector 3, the final few corners, and of course the bus stop chicane. But it appears as if, for the most part, the first round of qualifying laps are over and done with. Next to complete a lap time, or to start a lap time, will be Nazareth, or it's Nazareth in the Alpha Tauri as he's coming through that Sills turn 1, heading down towards Eau Rouge and Radillon, and we'll see what his lap time is going to look like as he heads up the hill, well, down the hill, then up the hill, and oh no, another spin here in qualifying, as it appears as if this corner section of Eau Rouge and Radillon really affecting a lot of the drivers here today. For it's Nazareth, it's going to be an abandoned lap. He's gonna have to try again. Let's see if Passé can get a bit of a better run through that high-speed section. He does handle it a little bit better on his set of medium tires. Now, of course, the job is only about a third of the way done now. He's got to make it through the rest of the lap, which is proving to be a lot easier said than done for a lot of drivers here today. We've got 5 drivers who've got lap times set here with 10 minutes to go, ranging from 1:41.6 to 1:43.1, with 4 drivers remaining who have yet to set a lap time, who can physically still set a lap time, with 5 drivers who are out of qualifying in the earlier stages due to incidents, disqualifications from the session for unjustly going the wrong way, and everything in between here. So exciting scenes, crazy actions, but we'll see how this is all going to culminate between now and the end of the session, as I hope I did get that word right. But nonetheless, Passé is got a purple second sector and heading up towards the final few corners of the lap here around the, like I keep mentioning, the very long circuit of Spa-Francorchamps. It is the one of, if not the longest circuit on the the F1 calendar, both in the ISRL Championship as well as the real-life Formula One circuit in terms of distance, pure distance traveled on the track, not necessarily in terms of lap times. I think that award can go to the Singapore Grand Prix as far as the lap times are concerned. But Prix sitting at 142.9 here for his first lap time. Nazar is getting the living definition of a banker lap in after that spin and recovery on Eau Rouge. We'll stick with the AlphaTauri once again and see firstly if he can maybe tame this very tricky section of the track here on this second time around. Looks like he does, handles it much better than he did one lap ago, and is currently on pace to improve his lap time, and very significantly so, knock some 24 seconds off just from Sector 1 alone. So we'll keep an eye on that to see how he can handle Sector 2 and Sector 3. Marko Selinovic, as I was reading that lap time out, is currently on a lap right now as well. So I was reading that name out, not that lap time out. He has yet to set a lap time, I should say, coming through Sector 2. We'll see what the sector time is going to look like here as he approaches the end of two-thirds of a lap. A 114.5 is what he's got on the board here. So we'll see how we can translate that in this much more high-speed section of Sector 3, a little bit closer to Sector 1 as far as the handling is concerned of the lap time. More or less a straight, a bit of a corner, and a bus stop chicane, of course, which we're seeing the Alfa Romeo driver come through right now. But as he heads towards the line, what's it going to be? Fourth fastest for Marko Selinovic, as he sets a 142.907 for his first time on the board. So everybody up to this point has a lap time set who can set a lap time other than Du Will, who is once again on an outlap looking to put something on the board here with less than 7 minutes to go. But 8 times on the board here out of 14, one of which is yet to come, and of course a couple of which that will not be set. Drivers starting from the back of the grid will have their work cut out for them here with a climb up the field here with what I believe is 22 laps here around this track. But we'll see what Demorts can do now, as he appears to be on a second flying lap, looking to improve on his 141.8 here. Coming through Sector 3, I just missed the split for Sector 2, so not too sure if he's on the pace or not. Yellow flags here a little bit earlier on, as it appears as if that's Krishna allowing Cohen just to get out to get ahead. Krishna getting out of the way. I don't think he's on a flying lap. I think might be on an in lap. But for Demorts, not going to be improving, unfortunately, as he decides to dive into the pits. Will be abandoning that lap time and possibly going for one more here between now and the end of the session. Knight, though, coming around the bus stop chicane and looking to finish his second lap. Is he going to improve? It's looking good. Crosses the line. Yes, he does. And he takes provisional pole position for the Alpine team. It's a 141.349 here for Knight's second lap time here, second official lap time. Cohen, meanwhile, a main competitor here, a main challenger, was on a flying lap. We saw Krishna getting out of the way here, so we'll see what Cohen can do as he's coming around the final section now. Ooh, a little bit of a tank slapper, struggling to keep that car under control on the exit, and that is going to be a lot of time lost. And I think the Red Bull driver might be slightly upset about that, as it looked to be a very good lap time if it was not for the mistake around the final corner, the ever so challenging bus stop chicane. You're trying to get on the power as quick as you can, maximize the exit speed to run towards the line, as well as get the, of course, just get the quickest line to the line. but for Cohen, that did not work out. Duwil, meanwhile, setting a 1:42.1 for his first timed lap here, for his first officially timed lap. That puts him up into a top 5, only just in P5 with a 1:42.1, but not the Duwil pace that we've grown accustomed to seeing after last week. Expecting a little bit more in the tank from the Haas driver here. But that is where we stand for the moment. 4 minutes to go in the session. Knight on provisional pole. Cohen in second on the front row of the grid provisionally for now, with Krishna in the pits, but rounding out the top 3. But still room to change, as we've got the likes of Passé, I think, just starting a flying lap, looking to improve. Duwil might be on another lap now, it seems, as he's charging around, but not really using much battery here, so I think might be on a recharge lap or an in lap. Let's stick with Passé, meanwhile, as he is in that McLaren car coming towards the downhill. Very tricky right-hand corner here, that downhill 180-degree turn there. And it is very tricky because it's a little off camber. You're heading down the hill, so you want to brake a little bit earlier going into that corner, just so that you can get the car around without going too deep, which can very much so compromise your line, because setting yourself up into that corner essentially sets yourself up for the next few corners leading into the from there all the way to the exit of Pouan, essentially, with a little bit of a break in between, but you want to be nailing that. And it looks like Passé, speaking of, has absolutely nailed Sector 2, going purple in the second sector, which is a fastest Sector 2 time here. So we'll see if he can keep that up with the final sector here, which is a little bit more straight line speed focused rather than downforce focused like we see in Sector 2. But around the final corner, no mistakes there from Passé. Crosses the line, comes close, knocks a second and a third off of his lap time, but it's still only second fastest. A 1:41.624, just eking out the time set by Cohen, but not quick enough to dethrone Knight, who is still sitting on provisional pole. But Demorts looks to be on a charge in the Red Bull, heading around down that downhill that we tuned in with Passé just one lap ago. He went purple in Sector 1, though, to Demorts, so he's looking to be on a flyer, but I think contrarily to Passé, Demorts' main focus is to keep this green time through Sector 2. I think Demorts is running a bit more of a top speed setup rather than a bit more of a downforce setup like we're seeing for Passé. So we'll see how Demorts can handle it. So close to a possible invalidation there. You saw just hugging the inside line, but unfortunately, one chance is enough. The second time around, we very clearly saw him cross the white line, and that is unfortunate for Demorts, as that's invalidation, and at the worst possible time, as I don't know if you guys saw that at home, ladies and gentlemen, but with a minute left to go in this qualifying session, the rain is going to start to fall. I made mention of that previously here in the session, and it appears as if it's going to be the case here. We are going to see possibly some wet weather running, or the wet weather affecting the track here with the final minute and a bit left in this qualifying session. And this does beg the question of whether or not this is going to be translating into the race. Nazareth will not be improving on his lap time here. It looks like Marco is heading around Sector 3. I'm not too sure what his Sector 2 time is. Looks to be committing to the lap from what I can see with his ERS. Not using any through Blanchiment, and slowing down very quickly. Passé retires out of this session. He will remain in P2. Krishna, I think, was letting drivers through. Marco diving into the pits. Nazareth diving into the pits. Duwil is going for one more attempt if he can get across the line. Yes, he does. and that is where qualifying ticks down. So 3 laps to keep an eye out. Well, 2 actually, as Knight had an invalidation, but he is the man to beat, and I'm thinking given these conditions it's going to be very difficult. Let's see how the drivers handle it as they're very close on track. Cohen leading for the time being, and oh no, Will's attempt ends before it even started as he has a big moment going up Au Rouge into Radillon, and that is the end of his short qualifying session. He will remain in P6, so it's all going to come down to ISRL Cohen in the Red Bull as he gets one more lap here around this track, and oh no, I think that is the attempt over and done with. Just like that, retires out of the session, and that is going to do it here for short qualifying here in Spa. That really brought out some excitement at the end of the session. The rain held off for just long enough in qualifying to allow drivers to set some quick lap times, but it looks like right at the end of the session it really did escalate. The track got a lot more trickier to maneuver, and we saw that firsthand with drivers hitting the walls, drivers having a bit more struggle going up the hill through Au Rouge Radillon, and there you have it. That is the end of our short qualifying session, and it is the Alpine of ISRL Knight who will be starting from pole position. Thrilled about that result is Knight, I'm sure, but the job is half done as we still have the race to tend to. Passé in the McLaren on the front row of the grid right alongside him, with Red Bull of Cohen and the Ferrari of Krishna on row 2. Demorts and will be starting on row 3 with Nazareth and Marco on the 4th row. Nazareth, though, his time on the medium tires. So interesting here if it stays dry. With Jay Willis and Michael Fierez rounding out the top 10, at least as far as the timing table is concerned. But of course, from I believe P9 all the way down had no lap time set, so it's still essentially a bit of a toss-up here. That's going to work out. But there you have it. That has been the short qualifying session, and thank goodness for the drivers. And after what we saw with the real-life Grand Prix, it is sunny skies here to at least start the Belgian Grand Prix for the Division 2 Championship. And the drivers, like I said, must be a bit of a sigh of relief after seeing the rain creep in at the end of qualifying to see this dry tires start. But the question does remain as well: will the dry running last long enough here to allow a full dry tire running session, or will we be seeing intermediate tires and possibly full wet tires take into account here as the race continues on? But that is the case here. The time is ticking down, and we are just about set to kick off the race here for 22 laps around Circuit Spa Francorchamps here for the Belgian Grand Prix for the Division 2 Championship. The drivers got their tire selection ready for those who can actually select a free choice of tires from P11 down to 14. They've got the fuel load managed and ready to go, and here we go. One red light is off, and it is Knight who is going to be leading us around the formation lap, and who is going to be leading off the line into turn 1 for the start of the Grand Prix. So, one more time through the order here as I get the tire selection up on your screen here. Like I said, Knight and Passé starting first and second on the front row of the grid here on the soft tires, with Cohen and Krishna third and fourth on the softs. The second Red Bull of Demorts with the Haas of Will starting on row 3, P5 and P6, with row 4 seeing our first medium tire runner of its Nazareth here in 7th, with Marco in P8 back on the soft tires here. Jay Wills in 9th on the softs, with Michael Fierez rounding out the top 10 on the medium tires as well for good measure. Behind him, best of the rest with the official free choice of tires was Potgetter, the second of 2 straight Aston Martins on the medium tires with Dark in the Mercedes here in P12 on the hard tires, so looking to go much longer than the rest of the field. Welsh Maldonado down in 13th on the medium tires here, and Nole rounding out the back of the grid in P14 on those medium tires after getting that disqualification for going the wrong way. I do feel given a little unjustly, but it appears as if in this installment, like it's been previously, the in-game stewards, the in-game marshals have no chill on the going the wrong way penalties here, and Nole unfortunately falling victim to that just as he spun around the wrong way and just trying to get back on track. Unfortunately, he took a little bit too long, and the marshals told him, take a good game, hit the showers, and you're starting from 14th. But that is the case. He is starting from the back of the grid, getting a little bit of heat in the tires there before lining up on the grid there, and charges through Welsh Maldonado in the process. Funny, crazy scenes here on the formation lap, but the drivers are taking the line here, getting ready for what is going to be 22 very exciting laps here around the Belgian Grand Prix, around Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. Let's get it done. The drivers are ready. I'm ready. I hope you're all ready too, watching at home. Here we go. Up to 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights. And the lights are off, and we are racing here in Belgium as the drivers are heading towards turn 1, and it looks like Knight got a good start as he continues to lead. Passe still in second, but behind them, Cohen and Krishna going side by side. We're seeing drivers going way wide here into turn 1, missing the braking zone, battling for position, and as we head up towards Eau Rouge, Knight having a decent run, and it looks like everybody making it through cleanly, but in the midfield, we've got some side-by-side battles. It's Nazareth and Jay Wills are going side-by-side. Will getting involved with this as well, as Nazareth up into P6, Nole overtaking Dark, nearly 3 wide going into the next corner after the Kemmel straight, but that's been essentially resolved. But Jay Wills still putting a lot of pressure right behind them. Look at Welsh Maldonado on the charge, gonna try to stick that nose down the inside of Potgetter, and Potgetter goes deep, which allows Welsh Maldonado to get alongside. She has the outside line though, but makes no mistake, and heading into Pouan here on lap 1, it is going to be Welsh Maldonado up into 9th, Potgetter losing a position down into 10th, but you can see a little bit further ahead, Krishna alongside of Cohen here as they are renewing their rivalry, the Ferrari v Red Bull here, and we've got some yellow flags, and let's see what happened here. That's Dark and Michael Fures going very slow, separating from the grid. They might have been caught up into an incident. Michael Fures has some end plate damage. Dark, meanwhile, looks to be a little bit of end plate damage. No, actually, no end plate damage, was just spun around here. So heartbreak for Dark, but at least it's not as bad as it could have been. Cohen and Krishna, meanwhile, well, they did not put their battle on pause. They're continuing as the timing sheets are going absolutely bonkers, as they like to do here on lap 2. But the 2 Red Bulls, the Ferrari, and even Nazareth now getting involved with this battle as well. Here on your screen, we've got 4 cars really taking it to each other here in these early stages, going back up Eau Rouge here for the second time around. A yellow flag here in this session. What happened? Who has gone around? Is that no, that's not Nazareth. That was Jay Willis, I think, maybe, who went around, falling way down the order here, as now the timing sheets are getting themselves sorted out. Dewell is finding a run. He is finding his pace, going purple in sector 1. And we'll see if he can keep that up as he's on the charge, already putting a lot of pressure here on its Nazareth in these early stages. But other than a couple yellow flags, we're racing relatively cleanly here through the first few races of this Grand Prix, which is what we like to see. But it is the Alpine of Knight who is leading the charge, but to be fair, after creating a little bit of separation on lap 1, Passe put his head down and he is on the charge here. 1 lap later here on lap 2, Krishna is still staying with him, and he actually set a purple second sector for good measure here. So he is flying here. I think possibly only matched by the likes of Do Will, who is equally flying around this track here on these soft tires. But hopefully by the time we cross the line here to start lap 3, my timing tables can be sorted out here to not show Krishna one lap down as he sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. And no, I was mistaken. It looks like Do Will was actually indeed slower, as Krishna does set the fastest lap here at the end of lap 2. So Krishna was the fastest driver on track here in this stage of the race, albeit still early signs here. Demorts came close to Cohen at some point, but of course the gaps are still are not where they need to be here, as you can see. So apologies for not having the most ideal timing conditions in these early stages, having to rely on the mini-map for a lot of the overtaking, as Nazareth, the first time-second penalty to fall here to the drivers, a 3-second time penalty here for good measure on him, as he is going to have that added to his time. I'm trying to look here. Nick Potgetter equally getting a time-second penalty added to his own time here, as they are running both Nazareth and Potgetter in 7th and 8th respectively here. Here comes Nole trying to take a line here, and he does get ahead of Welsh Maldonado. So the Ferrari driver finds the line on the outside line of Pouin, which turns into the inside line of that upcoming next corner. Makes no mistake and does get well ahead of Welsh Maldonado, who is now maybe shifting focus to defending off Marco. But Marco getting a great line, getting a great run out of the exit here, and he gets ahead of Welsh Maldonado as well. So Welsh Maldonado falling off a little bit here, and it seems to be directly reflective to the pace these medium tires have compared to the softs. But what happened here? Oh no, Krishna and Cohen, I think, got involved into an incident with one another, going through the bus stop chicane as they've both fallen way down. Nole, meanwhile, is now trying to get ahead of his teammate, but his teammate is not having any of it here. He thinks he can still get away, which is Krishna. So Nole stuck to fend off Cohen here. So we've got a yellow flag, and that's Nazareth out of this race. There is Nazareth there, and oh no, that looked to be Cohen following straight suit, and that is definitely going to bring out the safety car for 2 cars crashed out in the very high speed. Cohen is in an extremely dangerous spot there, essentially right on the racing line is that Red Bull. So from hero to zero goes Cohen, running in a podium position, it seemed like, but possibly getting caught up with an incident with Krishna on the bus stop chicane, and trying to recover going up Eau Rouge, and essentially meeting his end, as we just caught the glimpse of that, looking at Nazareth riding on board, looking at the rear of some of these other cars. But that will bring out the safety car here for lap 4 out of 22 of this Belgian Grand Prix, and at least as far as the top 3 are concerned, and the top 4, maybe not ideal for them, and that is going to bunch up the rest of the grid. But for drivers like Welsh Maldonado, for example, that took a pit stop, Michael Fires, who have been essentially running their own race here for a better portion of this the early stages of this Grand Prix. This does essentially allow them to catch right back up to the safety car and get right back into this race. So let's see Knight taking a pit stop, Passe diving into the pits. Demorts, though, is going to be staying out, with Duwill taking a pit stop. Potgetter, unsurprisingly, staying out. Nole as well in that similar situation. But other than Demorts, who's looking to stay out on the softs, commit to that strategy, it looks like everybody else who is on those soft tires is looking to take a pit stop to put on a fresh set of boots, put on a fresh set of tires. The question is, what will they choose to put on? Knight and Passe going for the yellow-walled medium tires. Duwill, Krishna, meanwhile, putting on a fresh set of soft tires, with the likes of Jay Willis equally putting on a set of softs. Marco is putting on a set of medium tires, so a little bit of a split strategy call from a lot of the drivers here under the safety car. But it is Demorts who is leading the way, leading the charge under this safety car here on lap 5. And as we are under safety car, Bear with me a quick moment. I shall return in just a few moments. Going to be taking a little bit of a break, a pit stop myself, a quick sip of water, and I will be back to take us through what has essentially what is unfolded under the safety car, and of course the restart of the race in what will be one lap or two's time. So don't go anywhere. You will still be watching the drivers heading around, but I will be back in just a few moments here. Thank you so much for watching here, and like I said, I will be right back. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your patience. I have returned here, and we are still under safety car, so not much has been missed between the break and now. Demorts is still leading under safety car, as we are going for one more lap, which ideally should be the final lap under safety car, given the grid has caught up, which is a little bit of a benefit here. With the long circuit, it gives a little bit more time for drivers to catch up to the safety car queue, which does mean we can go back to green flag racing a little bit quicker once they do get the incident cleared out, which it appears as if they have gotten it cleared out. The incident, two separate incidents involved happening at the same section of the track. Both It's Nazareth and Cohen, unfortunately having an incident here very early on lap 4 up Eau Rouge. It's Nazareth, unfortunately, we didn't quite see what happened. I think he just took a wrong line up Eau Rouge and clipped the curb, and as anybody who has driven it here in this game knows, once that car does get unsettled, you are just hoping for the best. You become a passenger very quickly in that car, and for Nazareth, unfortunately, it was not the best. But in a completely separate incident here, while we were under yellow flags, Cohen was equally coming up Eau Rouge a little bit further behind after getting caught up into another incident of his own, seemingly with Krishna on the bus stop chicane, as both those cars were going slow. Cohen coming up Eau Rouge himself and having a moment of his own, hitting the wall and essentially totaling that Red Bull car of his, so he is equally out. The accident, interestingly enough, happened after that of Nazareth, but Nazareth covered just that tiny little bit more distance, which is why he is marked ahead of Cohen on the timing table here. But safety car is coming in this lap, so it is going to be Demort who will be leading the drivers here for this safety car restart, as you can see, carrying a little bit of pace here, and this is going to make things a little bit interesting here as we approach that bus stop chicane. And to me, I believe it's relatively easy to call when the restart is going to happen, but of course it is up to Demorts. He might pull a little bit of a curveball here and just delay that little bit longer off of the around the final corner, and that looks to be the case, as it appears as now he is going, and that did give Potgetter a little bit of an opportunity to come at him, but Potgetter on those medium tires won't be able to come at him nearly as quick. Krishna going around the outside of Dark as they're still side by side. Now Krishna does get ahead of Dark as he finds the better traction here with that outside line, gets single file and gets up Eau Rouge, which is one of the more dangerous sections here, especially with everybody so close together. But it looks like everybody making it through cleanly. Jay Willis, meanwhile, having some connection issues as he's into AI driving. That is not great for him, as that AI is not going to be as quick as he is in that car. So for Jay Willis, hopefully he can get back into the lobby sooner rather than later so he can get back control of that car. But through Sector 1, it looks like everybody makes it through relatively cleanly, and we are back to racing. Welsh Maldonado finding some pace, getting ahead of Dark, who is still running those hard tires. Jay Willis, or the ghost of Jay Wills, now gets ahead of Dark, as Dark struggling to put a little bit of heat in those hard tires, maybe needing a little bit more time, an extra half a lap to a full lap to get that temperature in. Meanwhile, a little bit further ahead, you've got Duwil chasing down Passé, but watch out because Krishna is on a charge with a purple second sector, and he is really trying to catch up to this grid here, using the tow from Duwil, who is in a little bit of this slipstream chain. But look at this, here comes Knight on those medium tires. Is he gonna go for it down the inside of Nole? Yes, he does. Oh my goodness, nearly gets pot getter, but goes way deep, has to take the runoff, gets a corner cutting penalty for good measure. And I'll be honest, that was a bit of an overzealous move, and very wisely giving that position back there, as that was definitely taken a little unjustly there. I think Knight maybe realized he was going a little bit deep, and just essentially chucked it into that corner ahead of Potgetter, just for the sake of not creating an incident. But oh no, but right as I say that, Potgetter going up Eau Rouge himself, there is that car, and that is going to bring out another safety car here. Another incident up Eau Rouge, and this time it's the Aston Martin of Potgetter who is out of this race, and very quickly we are back under full safety car to clean up the debris, clean up the spillage, the wreckage of Potgetter, who unfortunately meets his end here on lap 8 of 22, going up Eau Rouge into Radion. But similarly to what we saw the likes of Nazareth do and Cohen do, just losing that car, into the wall he goes, and that is the end of Potgetter's Grand Prix. No points for Potgetter, unfortunately, due to that DNF. So down to 11 drivers here under safety car, which shouldn't, in theory, be out for too long. Maybe a lap or two. I don't think we're going to see any pit stops here unless the likes of Demorts and or Nole decide that they now want to take a pit stop here under the second safety car. But I feel in this stage they were much better off pitting just on the under the first safety car if that was going to be the strategy, given the grid is still essentially completely bunched up here, and you've only run essentially a lap and a bit before just being back under safety car. Nole, meanwhile, he feels it's time. He's diving into the pits, so an interesting call from him. Demorts, meanwhile, he's on the softer compound, and gonna be staying out here under the safety car once again. So a similar situation here that we saw with Demorts leading the way under safety car, but it's a familiar face here for those who were watching the Division 2 race last week. Oh, I love this when this happens. It's Demorts leading, Knight in second, and just for extra good measure, it's Duwil right behind them in third. We saw this very similar situation here at the Mexican Grand Prix, which did lead to a little bit of an incident that was deemed a racing incident by the stewards. So I think with that, there's a little bit of a rivalry brewing, a little bit of maybe a little bit of bad blood brewing between the Red Bull driver and the Alpine driver. I know they both drivers had their opinions on the incident in Mexico, but I think there's going to be no love lost here in Spa now that these two drivers once again get to meet on track. But we'll see how this all plays out here once we do go back to green flag racing. but this is going to be a great battle to see here. And of course, with Duwil, we can never take Duwil out of the equation after a race win last week in Mexico for Division 2, and then suiting up for the Red Bull team in Division 1, and just saying, well, one win isn't enough. Let's get another one. Got a little bit lucky with that Division 1 win with the penalties, but a win is a win regardless. And we'll see, at least as far as the Division 2 championship is concerned, if Duwil from third can maybe make it 2 races in a row here with the victory. But we'll see how this all plays out, as the safety car is not going to be coming in at the end of this lap, unfortunately. We will be having one more lap here under safety car, and if I ride on board with D-Mords, and I take a look at the front, at the back, on the left over to the trees, on the right over to the forest. When you're looking here at the sky, which is up is the only direction I can't look at, it's looking like we're seeing some cloud cover creeping in. And when we did see this cloud cover in qualifying, it very quickly turned in to some tricky conditions here once the rain did flash. So are we maybe seeing a little bit more of the same here in the race in maybe a lap or two's time, once we do get a little bit more cloud cover and maybe start seeing some raindrops here? We'll see how this all plays out. But for now, it's still dry, but we are under safety car, which is extending these lap times a little bit longer, much closer to 2.5 minute lap times compared to the 145, 150 lap times that we're seeing normally under green flag racing conditions. But 12 laps to go in this Grand Prix, albeit 12 long laps here around this circuit here in Belgium, but still 12 laps to go just like that. And for now, under safety car, hopefully though it will come in at the end of this lap so we can head back to green flag racing conditions, because I'm excited to see these heavyweights really duke it out here for position, especially in what could be very limited slick tire racing. Because once we do get once and if we do need to get onto the intermediate tires, then it's going to be a completely different ball game. Then it's going to come down to maybe who has a better setup for the more damp conditions, who put a little bit more practice in, who has that better feel for the car, for the track with the more damper conditions. We'll see how this is all going to play out, but of course safety cars got to come in first, and the rain has got to fall. One of those things can and will be happening at the end of this lap, as the safety car has officially announced that it's coming in. The lights are off on that safety car, and D-Morse once again gets to lead the charge, as he will lead the field very slowly up towards Blanchiment and the bus stop chicane, and take us through the restart for lap 11 out of 22. And this 50% race has essentially turned into a 25% race here, just like that, as we'll be crossing the line shortly to start lap 11 out of 22. And oh, did I just see what I think I just saw? Yes, I did. Just like that. And D-Mort's diving into the pits just like that as well. And you're seeing a few other drivers doing something similar here. And this might be a sign of things to come here, as we're back to green flag. As let's take us through the action here with the green flag restart. Krishna putting a lot of pressure on very early on with the dark. And you're already seeing the likes of D-Mort's putting on a set of intermediate tires. The rain is starting to fall, but is it a little too early in this stage, as it looks like the softs still have, or not the softs, but the slick tires still have a little bit of pace in this early stage of the lap, but things can go from 0 to 100 very quickly. Michael Fierus, meanwhile, is making a move on Marco. Is he going to go down the outside? Yes, he does, and he does make the move stick. Michael Fierus up to P6 now for the Aston Martin team, looking to gain a couple positions here while he still can in the slick tires. Dark, meanwhile, is running in 5th, has once again fallen behind the initial pack, struggling for heat on those hard tires. And with the rain now starting to fall, you feel like that might have been a bit of a mistake. Maybe he should have put on a set of medium tires instead, keep that little bit of extra pace, and make it a little easier on getting the heat on those tires. Nolay, though, he's not struggling as much as he now gets ahead of Marco, going alongside. He gets the outside line of that corner, which was the inside line for the overtake, and he makes no mistake, gets ahead up into P7. But as far as the top 3, top 4 are concerned, not much has changed in the order. But the big question is, when will they come in to put on a set of intermediate tires? Is it time? No, it is not time just yet. It looks like the likes of Demorse, Welsh Maldonado, Jay Wills, maybe they're a little bit too early on the call for the intermediates, as they are losing a lot of time here at the back. But of course, with how long the lap is and how quickly these conditions can change from one lap to the other, where they're losing time now, they could really be making up if conditions really do worsen around, let's say, for example, this section of the track, where now you've got another full lap to do, or 2/3 of a lap to do in very tricky conditions on the wrong tires. Spa being a very long track, as I have stated many times, cannot stress enough, but it appears as if for now the gap is continuing to grow and grow and grow. It was at around 17 seconds between Demorts and Marco, now 20 seconds, and oh no, that was Passe. We got a nice little front row sight to that, and that is Passe bringing out a yellow flag. He's got to get back on track, but you're seeing he's losing out on a lot of positions here as Dark, Michael Furious, no lay, and oh no, and that is Passe really losing control of the car there. He is out. That is going to bring out a yellow flag, but is that going to be more than just a yellow flag here? Are the front runners going to be getting another gift here? As you're still seeing the gap grow. Oh, yes, they will, as we are now back under safety car, as the group of intermediate tire runners have just now passed that section. So for Passe, unfortunately, not the way he was hoping to end this race. Jay Wills, oh, that is unfair, having to essentially park that car on the track, but still getting a penalty for speeding under the safety car. That is not great. But for these front runners here, with the safety car coming out, this is essentially allowing them to take a free pit stop here and serve whatever penalties they had to serve and put on a fresh set of intermediate tires. So for Knight, unfortunately, with that penalty that he had served for the 5 second for corner cutting, he will be losing out a little bit here, coming out in a net P3 position with this current safety car. So we'll have a little bit of work to do, but still ahead of the likes of Demorts, Welsh Maldonado, and Jay Willis, who definitely did pit a little bit too early for the intermediate tires. I mean, you gotta give them credit. They went for a gamble. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off for them. But of course, with this next safety car that came out, they are essentially right back into this race rather than 30 seconds behind. But another a little interesting strategy call here, of course, comes from the Ferrari garage. Very fitting here, as the Ferrari master plan or something of the sort has decided that Nolay, they're much better off on the yellow-walled medium tires rather than the intermediate tires that we're seeing from the rest of the grid. So the Ferrari garage either made a big mistake here with the strategy, or they've got something that the rest of the grid just does not have in terms of weather. Possibly a break in the weather and a quick return to slick tires, albeit looks like there's a lot of spray. And I think Nolay is going to be struggling here for now on those medium tires. But it's a bit of an interesting call here. We'll see how this is going to play out, and if Nolay is going to be maybe diving into the pits once again to put on a set of intermediate tires between now and the end of the lap. So we'll see with that, but for now, it is the Haas of Duwil who now takes the lead of the race after the chaos in pit lane. Knight, of course, having to serve that 5-second penalty that we saw for the minor corner cut into the bus stop chicane a few laps ago. He is down into third after serving that, so still very much so in contention for the race win and at the very least a podium here, given he is in a podium position. But he's going to have his work cut out for him with Krishna in second ahead of him, as well as the defending race winner of last week, Du Will, who is in the lead of the race and has shown he can drive in the lead. He can keep his composure. He can keep his cool. And it looks like it was a more like a Ferrari Master Plan than the Ferrari Master Plan here, as Nole is now in the pits and is now coming out on a fresh set of intermediate tires. Welsh Maldonado equally having to take another pit stop here. So an interesting call here from Welsh Maldonado, maybe taking some front wing damage somewhere along the way under the safety car, or using the opportunity just to get another fresh set of tires on. But she's down in 10th, right behind Nole, as they are now catching up to the safety car grid here. Shouldn't take too long for them to catch up, and maybe we go back to green flag racing to start lap 15 out of 22 here. As we can see, the conditions for the Division 2 Championship are starting to look closer and closer to the conditions we had in the real-life Belgian Grand Prix, with rain falling. But thankfully for us, we can run this on the intermediate tires, so no need for the red flags here in the Division 2 Championship. But we'll see who can be the king or queen of the intermediate tire conditions. Who can handle this already very challenging circuit with the extra level of difficulty with the intermediate tires, with how wet the track is. Thankfully, though, there's no standing water, so no need to put on the full wet tires. But it is still looking absolutely drenched out there, and could lead to more incidents, could lead to more chaos here, as Jay Willis has joined back into the lobby. Hopefully he can get control of his car in time, given that the lights are off, and for a third time we are going to be heading back to green flag racing here. But for the first time now here this afternoon, it is going to be Zuwil that will be leading the charge under the safety car. Jay Wills unfortunately disconnecting out of the lobby once again, so will not have control of that car. I do wish Jay Wills a bunch of luck in getting back into that seat. And oh no, Will just showing how slippery it is, taking a new line, an interesting line here, and now ends up alongside, overtaking Krishna there on the restart. This is gonna breathe chaos as they're side by side. Back to green flag racing. Knight gets ahead and Krishna gets ahead as well. Will's mistake sends him down into P3 as he went out to explore the scenery. That was dark, going a little bit deep on the turn into La Source. But here we go, heading down towards Eau Rouge. Are we gonna see Will go for a move? Maybe not early on, but Knight looks like he's gonna he thought about going for something. Michael Fierez going very slow up Eau Rouge, and that is looks to be or that was Dark that went slow, as Michael Fierez gets to head up into P4. Dark though charging back, and right behind them we've got Marco and D-Mort's having a little bit of a battle here. D-Mort's trying to get past. There's a little bit of contact there, but nothing to be worried about. Jay Willis is also getting involved here with this crazy sights here. There we go. Let's get the two wide battle as Nole trying to get past the AI of Jay Wills, but it's chaos here near the back of the grid, as we've got essentially 4 to 6 cars that you can throw, maybe not a blanket, we'll say a towel this week, given how wet the conditions are, but they're all battling for position for these much needed points in the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors' Championship in the early stages of this Grand Prix, but looks like it's gotten itself sorted out here ever so slightly, as you can see now back to single file as Jay Willis gets the short end of the stick here, with the unfortunately with the AI controlling that car, not left in a good position. But through the first lap under the restart, it's Krishna who is leading the way. Knight in second, with Duwil rounding out the provisional podium here. Nole now getting ahead of Demorts, getting up into P7 as Demorts is coming right back. There's a little bit of contact there, thankfully not forcing anybody to go deep, but you can see Welsh Maldonado trying to go for a move himself, as it's still as close as it ever was here in the back of the pack here, with now 2 packs essentially starting to form. Jay Wills diving into the pits, not ideal, as you can see. That was Marco going very deep into that Souls. He has fallen way down the order. We've got a yellow flag here, as that looks to be Jay Wills just coming out of the pit stops here. I was worried for the worst here going up Eau Rouge, but speaking of, this isn't the worst, this is maybe the best. We've got Knight now. Is he going to go for an overtake on Krishna? Thought about it for half a moment, but thought better of it, realized that gap was going to close, doesn't want to stick his nose in there and create an incident, force an overtake here, with still 6 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Loads of time to get a better run, loads of time to close this gap right back up and go for it once again. But this is a great race here, with everybody staying close together. Jay Willis, though, maybe not having the best race, given half of it was driven by the AI. He is down in 10th. But if that AI can just hold on, that might still be some points for Jay Willis here, given the car is competing and he is getting disconnected through no fault of his own. But unfortunately, not really involved in much of the action right now in this race. And for the most part, we've got a couple gaps starting to form. A couple of them within a second here, like Michael Fierez chasing down Duwil. But unfortunately, there's no DRS now active due to the intermediate tires being fit and these conditions deteriorating into wet weather racing. So when that rear wing flap will not be opening, so it's going to rely on essentially pure pace and pure speed from the drivers, as well as driver skill more than anything else. We'll see how this is all going to play out. But now, as we head back towards Eau Rouge here to start lap 17, Krishna leading the way. Let's ride on board with Knight as both drivers make it through cleanly, looking ahead. It looks like third and fourth make it up. Dark came close, but I think ran a little bit wide on the exit of Radial down the Kemmel Straight, as he's now reclosing that gap up to Michael Fierez, but not close enough to go for the overtake, and the order remains unchanged once again through what is probably the most obvious overtaking opportunity of the circuit. Now, of course, through the next portions here, you're essentially relying on driver error to create an opportunity for you, but of course you want to keep the pressure on so that you can capitalize on that opportunity if and when it does come. The likes of which we're seeing Knight do, really keeping that gap close to Krishna, as well as Duwil keeping Knight very honest here. And Duwil actually is really on a charge, it seems, as they're all through near the end of Sector 2, heading towards Sector 3 here. Down towards, up towards Blanchement, I should say, coming around this corner where you really got to watch out running wide, because that wall is very close and you can just bounce off it and ruin your race very quickly if you're not careful. Speaking out of experience is myself here with that one. but the drivers make it through cleanly, and through the bus stop chicane for another lap. It's still the order remains unchanged to what it was off of the restart, or after the first lap after the restart, I should say. But we'll see with lap 18 out of 22 if anybody can make a push. It's going to rely on the exit of La Source, I think, as Krishna getting a good exit, Knight getting a similar exit. That gap is remaining the same, but as they head up towards Eau Rouge, who is going to be more daring, because we've got a yellow flag here that looks to be possibly a Red Bull that had a spin. I think that was Demorts spinning on the exit of La Source, so that is not going to be great for Demorts as he loses one position. Dark, meanwhile, back on the charge as he is chasing down Michael Fures, trying to go for the move here down the Kemmel Straight, but with no DRS, just cannot close enough of a gap in these intermediate tire conditions to get the overtake done here. So it is still Michael Fures that is going to be in fourth, and Dark rounding out the top five. But we are very quickly approaching the end of this Grand Prix. Lap 18 out of 22 for now, and it is Krishna leading the way. Knight in second, although he does have a time second penalty to be added to his name. Demorts, though, meanwhile, I think there might be some heavy wing damage, unfortunately, on that Red Bull. So from a driver who was seemingly running so well early on in the stages, it goes to show what how things can change in a race such as this one here, where you could be the hero for a little bit, then of course very quickly, after a couple mistakes, fall down to a bit closer to a zero. But for Demorts, he just has to stick with it, and that could be points on the board here for the Red Bull team for the Drivers' Championship here. And points, of course, always matter here in any stage of a championship, but it's good to snag some early on. Now, starting lap 19 out of 22, the laps are winding down. Desperation is going to start setting in for some of these drivers who are just going to want to go for it here. Krishna, though, is still leading the race and driving a fantastic race so far here. He's always been right around this podium. Now it's his opportunity to nurse this car home here, albeit Knight is keeping him honest, less than a second behind, buying his time here, but equally trying to create a gap to Duil, who has been falling off ever so slightly. But of course, you've got the likes of Dark and Michael Fures, who have been essentially having a battle through the entirety of this wet racing portion of the race here. Dark has been behind the Aston Martin for a better part of it, but he's been coming close lap after lap, within about a tenth or two of a second, just running out of room on the Kemmel Straight. I never thought I'd ever have to say that. Just not enough room there on that straight after Eau Rouge and Radiant to get the overtake done. But of course, relying on pure pace, these cars are all so close in engine power here that it's relying on setup differences as well as the lines the drivers take, and that essentially seems to be all the difference here. For Michael Fures, just able to keep that car just ahead, taking just a good enough line through the fast section of Eau Rouge to keep that car in P4. But here we go, up towards Blanchimont once again. The race is far from over here, even as the laps dwindle down, because we still have penalties that can play into effect. And of course, we still have to go through the likes of Eau Rouge and Radion at least 3 more times now, every driver for this lap and the 2 others afterwards. A yellow flag here, as that looked to be Welsh Maldonado possibly bringing out that yellow flag, just for a little bit of a half spin, I believe. Back on circuit, back on track, nothing to worry about here. The leaders now once again coming up. Let's head on down the order and see. It looks like the top 3 handle it well enough. This is where things get interesting here, is Dark going to have the run he needs. Nole is chasing down, using some of that that ERS, I should say, gets alongside, and here on lap 22 it is Dark who gets ahead of Michael Fures by only just. Nole, though, is following right along the line Dark has taken. Michael Fures, just like that, he was running in P4, but loses 2 positions very quickly here to Dark and Nole, who were you gotta give some kudos, some props to Nole for just following Dark wherever he went there through that lap, and it worked out for him as he gains essentially a free position, not allowing Michael Fures to defend quick enough to cover off Nole after losing that position to Dark. But Michael Fures, he still has 2.5 laps to get this overtake back done, and try to snag that position right back. Now for Dark, he's driven a clean race so far, so depending on the penalties, that might be it for where Michael Fures and Nole could be catching up. But if I take a look here at those penalties, Nole with 8 seconds, Michael Fures with 6 seconds here. So very much so still in this is Michael Fures, so as long as he can keep that 2-second lead, or that 2-second gap to Nole here in the late stages of this Grand Prix. No, a little bit of a tank slapper there from Nole around the final corners. He was right on the rear diffuser of Dark, and that is going to open the door to Michael Fures to try to go down the inside of La Sauce. Is he gonna make it work? It's gonna be close. Michael Fures does get ahead on the timing sheets, but they're still well alongside one another. This is gonna get dangerous, but no, Nole gets back ahead just in time to go up the hill of Eau Rouge and down towards the Camel Straight. But this time Michael Fures is sticking in the slipstream, saving some of that DRS though, or saving that ERS I should say. DRS is disabled as we mentioned previously with this wet weather running. But wait a minute, has the rain stopped? I think it's a little too late here, given we're on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix, but it does look as if the rain has stopped here. Of course, going a little bit further ahead, you're seeing a little bit more spray with drivers close to one another as they're riding on board with Knight. Now coming down, it looks like the spray is restarting, but it looks like we've got a section of the track where the rain is falling, and a section of the track where the rain is not falling. So heading down towards the south section of the track, I should say, it's still raining. It's still soaked. But up towards the near the start-finish straight, it looks like the rain is not necessarily falling. It looks like it's starting to dry out. So this is going to make things very interesting, very dangerous for what is going to be the final lap of the very eventful Grand Prix for the Division 2 Championship here, as Krishna crosses the line and only has one more lap to do here around Circuit Spa Francorchamps before he can breathe a little bit easier, but it's going to be one of the more challenging laps he has to do. Knight has kept him honest, but of course just has not been able to close that gap up. I think their goal is just to make it up through here one more time safely. Do Will as well, and Do Will, he's trying to keep that gap within 3 seconds. Knight is pushing as much as he can here to build that 3-second gap, to not lose out on that position with that 3-second penalty he's got to his name. I think the podium is essentially going to be solidified here, barring some crazy moments here on the final lap, with Dark 4.2 seconds behind Do Will. But of course, anything can happen here with the final 2/3 of the race to go. But the closest gap right now is between Knight and Krishna, and I think Knight is on a charge. Do Will knows it. He's on a charge as well, but this we'll see how this is going to play out here with half a lap to go in this Grand Prix here. But Krishna has been driving a fantastic race so far, and it's in his hands to win or lose, I believe, in this stage of the Grand Prix. With about 1/3 of a lap to go, it's the Ferrari coming around one of the final few daring corners up towards Blanchemont, with only Blanchemont on the bus stop chicane to go. Is Krishna going to be able to hang on for the Ferrari team? For the Tifosi that is watching the race, let's see, only the bus stop chicane. Let's see, can he get the exit he needs? Knight is close, but it's not going to be enough, I don't think, as Krishna crosses the line, takes the victory. Knight crosses in second, but it's Do Will who gets P2 on the podium. But consolation for Knight, as he will still end up on a podium step. He will still get the champagne here, as it's P3 for Knight. Dark, meanwhile, a fantastic race from him, comes just short of the podium, but a solid finish in P4. Michael Fury is rounding out the top 5 here. A great drive from him. Nole in 6th, Welsh Maldonado in 7th, Marco in 8th, and just awaiting on Jay Wills, who just crossed the line here in 9th. And so as long as Demorts doesn't have a moment, I think even though now he is safe, having completed 90% of the race, but there is still some pride in crossing the line here, finishing the race. Demorts, he was running so well earlier on in this race, but unfortunately just once the rain happened, that was Demorts' demise in that Red Bull car. Setup just not built for the rain. You can see a little bit of frustration, but crosses the line with the final position there in P10. But my, oh my, what a fantastic race that was here today. Nole getting driver of the day here, as voted by the what is now a little bit of a wet fan base here in Belgium. But there is the podium for you, and my, oh my, what a race that was. Fantastic drives from everybody involved, and for those who are able to make it through the end, make it to the end there, congratulations. Definitely deserve the points, definitely deserved it after the crazy race we saw. The interchangeable conditions, throwing an extra curveball here for the drivers, and you definitely see the drivers making the most of it here. But one more time through the order, we've got Krishna, who started in P4, gets the victory here today. Do Will from 6th up into 2nd. I mentioned never count Do Will out with the Knight. Started on pole, but unfortunately down in 3rd. A costly 3-second penalty. Dark Michael Fury is rounding out the top 5. Nole, Welsh Maldonado, Marco, Jay Wills, and Demorts rounding out the top 10. Then, of course, the DNFs, the crash outs, Passe, Potgetter, Nazareth, Cohen, all meeting their demise one way or another here around Spa. They got some early preparation to next week's race, and unfortunately not the result they were hoping for here today around this around the circuit here in Spa for the Belgian Grand Prix. But what a race that was. I'm so happy you all could have joined in and tuned in for the Division 2 race with the chaos we had with the scheduling, with the real life Grand Prix, with the delays here, the shortened grid, but fantastic race nonetheless, and really happy you all could join us here. And I'm just gonna take a quick moment as we're sitting here with the race results. I think we've caught those long enough here to get the penalties, get the gaps here. I'm gonna very quickly, because I see we've got the main event Division 1 starting in about 25 minutes time. Let's quickly try to get this top 3 into the post-race interview lobby. See if we can maybe get some thoughts from these drivers. So bear with me a second as I get that sent off. We'll see if we can get some input here from the podium, what they thought about this about that crazy Belgian Grand Prix here. So bear with me as I just get them sent off. Let's start with Krishna. Perfect. Next up is going to be Zuil. And of course, last but not least, Knight, and see if we can get them here, get their thoughts here. So I've got them sent off. We are still on the post-race results screen here, as we are really taking in the post-race. Let's let's get the race director up for everybody to see. We'll go through here very quickly as Krishna is here in the lobby for the post-race interview. Krishna, we'll just get started right away with you. Can you hear us at all? I'll give it a little bit for Krishna, because I cannot hear Krishna whatsoever. Oh, I'm hearing something. Krishna, is that you, or is that Will?
I'm Krishna.
You're Krishna? Oh, there we go. I'm hearing you now. So, Krishna, I'll start with you then. So from fourth on the grid, but a victory here is how it ended out. Congratulations, firstly, on the victory. But talk us through it. What were your thoughts here after the? I guess I could call it a chaotic Belgian Grand Prix.
Yeah. Thanks, first of all. I think I've been just lucky with the safety car after I had my spin out of the bus stop chicane. Because without the safety car, I would not have been able to catch the guys in front. And then the whole time in the rain, Nick was putting so much pressure on me. It was just sweat, pure sweat to win this race.
Yep, I mean, we definitely saw the pressure through the entirety of the race, but you seemed calm, you seemed in control, and essentially you're always there, you're always involved with the, I guess if I can call it the discussion with the podium, just you were always sort of involved there. So are you happy with your drive here today, or do you think things could have gone better for you?
I think if you win, then it's the best possible result, man. I'm happy, and I'm thankful to Nick that he didn't do any heroic moves in the rain. Could have cost us both and stuff. So I'm just happy that we finished like we finished, and I take the points because I have a lot of points to make up to the guys in front, and that was just the start, and I want to really close that gap down.
Yep, it's a great way to start, and just so we can move on with the interviews, I just want to give you congratulations on the victory and the solid haul of points here today.
Thanks, mate.
No problem. So next up, I'll switch over to Will, as he was in the Haas. So Will, can you hear us at all?
Yeah.
Perfect. So I mean, I'll say welcome back. I mean, maybe a little disappointing after your results last week, but still another podium for you here from starting 6th on the grid, no less. Talk us through it. What were your thoughts here after that Belgian Grand Prix?
Well, P2 on one of my worst track on a weather I don't like. I'm taking it gladly. I know I almost been it under safety car, but we saw later in the race Chris was faster than me on the wet, so I think he would have won anyway. So P2 was the highest position possible. So no, I'm very happy to be P2.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my follow-up question, because we did kind of cast that on stream on the safety car restart going into the bus stop chicane, taking a little bit of a scenic route through that bus stop chicane. You did Will, and it looked like you almost tried to snag that position back. Was that planned, or were you just trying your luck to see if you can get back into the lead in time for the restart?
To be honest, Chris and I was in the same party, and we were both confused who should be first and second after that. And the game decided for Chris, and so yeah, let's go for Chris to be P1. But I think this little incident will have not changed anything at the end, so nah.
Yeah, but it was still a great race for you. P2 here. Congratulations on that. With another podium and another solid haul of points for you here in the Drivers' Championship.
Thank you.
Now, last but not least, our pole sitter, unfortunately, unfortunately, coming third here at the end of the race. It's Knight in the Alpine. Knight, I saw you jump in. Firstly, talk us through it. What were your thoughts here after that race?
Happier than before. It's the best result of the season, so I can't be too mad, but still a little disappointed because without taking a 5-second, which I don't think I should have, I would have come out of the pits ahead of Duil and Krishna, and then if I was ahead of the pits, ahead of them in the pits, or out of the pits, I think I would have been able to stay ahead. I was able to keep up with Krishna pretty well. But not able to make a move, unfortunately. So I guess we'll just have to be happy with P3 there, even though I feel like there's probably at least P2 or a win in store today.
Yeah, and I did want to ask you a little bit about that. Due to complete lack of a better term, I guess that dive bomb into the bus stop chicane earlier on that. Was that planned? Was that an attempted, or was that just completely missing the breaking point and just trying to avoid damage from there?
Yeah, no, I was very, very close to. I think it was the Ferrari Nole going into the corner. And he did a little, like, he moved back to the racing line right before the braking zone hit it, and I completely missed my braking point. It wasn't because of his move or anything. I just, like, I was focused on him, and when I saw through that move, I looked at his car instead of the apex on the racing line, and braked way too late. And then I realized that I was braking too late, so I made sure that I was going to go through the corner and not hit anybody, rather than try to save it and plow right into the side of the Aston Martin that was ahead of us. So I let off the brake a little bit, tried to be safe, tried to avoid as many people as possible, and then rejoined as safe as I could, let everybody by, but the game still felt like it was worth a 5 seconds, even though, I took the escape and everything, so I guess you just got to live with it and make sure you don't miss your braking point in future races.
Yep, and I'm sure Nick Potgieter got a little bit of a scare of that, just watching an Alpine car just fly by him in the bus stop chicane. But I do just have one last question for you, Knight, before we cap things off here. Near the end of the race, you were running P2. You were coming close to Krishna, but I'm sure you all knew the penalty situation as well as I did. Was it ever in your thoughts near the end of the race to try to catch and or overtake Krishna, or were you just mostly trying to?
The whole time. I was trying the whole time to overtake him. It's because he bumped up his front wing during the pit stop for inters, and I thought the rain was gonna let off near the end, and so I didn't expect it to be so bad. So I didn't. I was gonna go for the straight line speed, and so I was catching up to him through Blanchemont all the way, Les Sources up Eau Rouge into Les Combes, and then he would just dust me through Sector 2, and then that meant I had to redo all that work again. And I was never able to get close enough to actually go for a move. I mean, I was catching up like 2 or 3 tenths every single lap through Eau Rouge into Les Combes. So, the pace, the speed was there. I just, because he had a little bit more downforce there towards the end, I wasn't able to stay close through Sector 2, and that's why I wasn't able to make a move.
All right, well, thank you for that, and it's still a podium for you, and still a solid haul of points for both yourself and the Alpine team, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Problem, but I think through that's just about going to do it here for the Division 2 stream. So I do want to say thank you so much for everybody for tuning in, for watching. Of course, in about 15 minutes time, we've got the main event, Division 1, as they take their turn here around Circuit Spa Francorchamps. You're not going to want to miss that. But as far as the Division 2 championship is concerned, don't worry, we will be back at our regular time as we take the China at the Shanghai International Circuit for the Chinese Grand Prix for round 4. It's going to be next Sunday here at 1 p.m. Eastern, which I believe is 6 p.m. UK time, so not going to want to miss that. But until then, on behalf of everybody here at ISRL Esports, I do want to say thank you so much for watching, and have yourselves a fantastic evening.